tired of screwing up, tired of going down, tired of myself, tired of this town.
Eminent Waste of Time, Episode 5. We're on a roll.
Yeah, we can count that high. Haven't even had to take off my socks yet.
I was going to say, I don't know what we're going to do once we get past 10. I guess 20 is the real.
Yeah.
That'll be the real tough one. So we're going to pick this right up where we left the last one. I had finished the story about Chad eating a transmission and going golfing, because that's what any normal sane person would do. And I think,
never been described as that.
and I think my favorite part of the story is normally you're pretty good about looking at a project and going, if we do this, this will happen. Like, you understand physics, you understand how things will react, you understand if you put two dissimilar materials together, it's not going to work in the long run because they'll pull each other apart. Like, you get that stuff. So my favorite part of that whole story is, where did you think the transmission was going?
Well, Hi, I'm Chad, and this is...
This is Doug.
We didn't do a very good introduction that time, but y'all will get over it. So, yes, quick back of the story. I hit a transmission with my face. So, what did I think was going to happen? The transmission still had the mount on the tail shaft. The problem is the front didn't. So
I'm just saying, it's just not like you.
No.
Normally, you're a little more observant, but like you said, it was hot, and you were in a hurry
to try and
you were
get
supposed
it
to
out.
go golfing.
Yes. So yes, I spent all 18 holes.
Bleeding.
About after every shot, I would have to hold a towel on my head, and I went through at least 2 towels to mop the blood. And my dad wouldn't let me go in the pro shop to pay. He goes, I'll buy you a round of golf. If they see you bleeding this bad, they're not going to let you play.
Exactly. So what interrupted the story was Chad's brother Josh, who brought a dump truck over here that he recently bought to get some firewood out of the back of Chad's property.
No, you make it sound way too sane. He didn't buy the dump truck to get firewood. He bought the dump truck because he wanted a dump truck.
Well, yeah, I guess I didn't really explain that very well. He wanted a dump truck, but he brought it over here specifically to grab some firewood out of the back of your property. And it's soft and it's wet out there. And this thing has basically closed-shouldered street tires on the back of it.
Yes.
And he got it stuck.
Yes. So my nephew comes and pounds on the back door. If you guys were listening to the last one, you heard me say, hold on. And my nephew's pounding on the door. He goes, my dad got the truck, but the dump truck stuck in your backyard. Thank you. It is kind of off in the wood bit where I've cleared with the dozer for my new building and all that. But yes, he got it stuck. So then I go grab, and right now I currently just drive an F-150, crew cab 4-wheel drive. And those don't weigh a lot compared to a dump truck.
It's a nice truck, but it's not a beefy truck.
No, it does great for hauling things to races, and it does what I need perfectly, so that's great. But pulling dump trucks is not its forte so much. But the mighty F-150 did pull the dump truck out. We got him out, and...
Yes, it did.
Yeah, I kind of had to bump him a few times with it, with the strap. I didn't, ram him with the bumpers. So... But we got him. He's no longer stuck in my yard because my wife would be less than thrilled with the dump truck for a lawn ornament.
You could have just done those people, they do toilets and they plant flowers in them. You could have just
put some flowers in the
put some
headlights
flowers in it and call it good.
Yeah, my brother was like, we'll just leave it. I'll get it tomorrow. I'm like, yeah, right. I am going to get so yelled at if you leave your dump truck, which is not, it's not like, oh, that's a nice dump truck. This thing has no floorboards. The bed, which is thick metal, is rusted all the way through. It is a pile. My wife would be less than thrilled with me if I left my brother's dump truck in the backyard and said, it's stuck there. Nothing I can do. So, yeah, that's where I had to run off to at the end of last episode. And Doug graciously finished the episode out and said goodbye, I'm sure, to all of you for me. And
it's what any good co-driver would have done.
Yeah, when the driver abandons you.
Luckily, you've never done that in the woods. But...
No.
So we didn't really get to any news other than our news last time. So I kind of wanted to delve in. A couple episodes ago, we were eagerly awaiting the Can-Am Maverick Trail 1000, and the trail being the 50-inch wide variant where it's, narrower for trails.
Yes.
Huh, what a name.
Yeah.
So we were kind of excited to see what that was, and I'm going to preface this by saying everything Can-Am makes is sexy. Everything they make, I just want to put my hands on it.
The motors sound good, like the exhaust, the motors themselves, clickety clacks and whatnots. The exhaust sound good, man. They just design good looking body work. They are nice. So Can-Am, if you're looking for somebody to sponsor, I'm your guy.
And at the same time, you may not want to sponsor us as much after I say I'm underwhelmed. I don't think they did enough with it. And here's why. So the Razor 900, their trail, has been around for quite a while, and it's got a huge following.
Yep.
So you've got to do something to kind of knock that off its perch. And so I'm just going to go down through some specs here, folks. So we've got the Maverick on the one side. It's got a 976cc motor versus the Razor 900 EPS has an 875. Horsepower, identical at 75.
Right.
They're both EFI. They're both CVTs. They both have dual A-arm with trailing, and the rear suspension's the same. It's trailing lower arm and link upper. 10 inches of travel in the front. 10 and a half in the back for the Can-Am. 10 in the back for the Razor. So basically no difference there. They sport the same size rubber, just different manufacturers. Dimensionally, the Can-Am's a little bigger. It's 118 long versus the Razor's 105. But other than that, the dimensions are basically 50 wide, 69 tall, 69 and a half tall for the Razor. Maximum ground clearance 10 for the Can-Am, 11 for the Razor. Wheelbase is slightly longer, 90.6 versus 79 for the Razor. Fuel capacity doesn't. They're about the same. Weight's about, the Razor's actually lighter. The Can-Am is claimed at 1364. Razor's 1176. They both hold 300 pounds of cargo in the cargo box. They both can tow 1,500. And they both cost $14,799.
Now wait, because I thought the same thing you did until I started doing a little more research. The Maverick Trail comes with accessories that the Polaris does not.
That's true. It does come with what? Rock sliders.
Rock sliders. I believe it has a winch, if I remember right.
Yes, it does.
And a roof, which the Polaris has none of. I mean, you can get them as factory add-ons, or there's plenty of aftermarket suppliers for it. So, and the length. I thought
the wheelbase is a big difference.
But from everybody I'd talked to who have ridden it now, because it's been out for 2 weeks, is that right?
About that.
So everyone who I've talked to or watched a review on or read an article on who's ridden it said that the Can-Am rides better, and the Can-Am rep said they did the length to make up for not having the width to have the longer A-arms, to have like longer travel.
Sure.
So they've done it on purpose to beat the ride of the 50-inch Razor. So I get what you're saying. You're underwhelmed. A 50-inch machine is not for me. I do have tight trails. I do not want a 50-inch machine. I will make my trails wider.
And I guess when I saw the 1000cc, they call it the Maverick 1000. Of course, they round up. All the manufacturers play that same game. I was just expecting a little more out of the motor tech.
Yeah.
That being said, 75 horsepower in a 50-inch wide machine that doesn't weigh, but
exactly. I don't know
but that's the other thing, though. The Maverick also weighs quite a bit more, but
you got a winch
rock
to
sliders
count
in the wind. Yeah, so
you got a couple 100 pounds in accessories.
If you went apples to apples and you put those stuff on the Razor, they probably weigh the same.
I would bet that they would be within pounds of each other. So I don't think that they're all that dissimilar.
But if you know the Razor's a proven commodity,
I agree.
Why are you going to go buy the Can-Am? If there's all this aftermarket support for the Razors, which there is, right, why are you going to buy the Can-Am? And I guess that was my thought was, I don't know that they did enough.
The Can-Am has, whether it's true or not, and I'm not getting into that debate, it has the stigma of being a higher end machine. whether it is or not.
All you got to do is go look at an X3. They've earned that reputation.
Yeah, they look good. They have that stigma about them, so that's fine. So I think that's what they're relying on. Their price point comes in the same as we'll call it a stripped down razor. No winch, no rock sliders, no roof. The Can-Am has that. So you're getting more for your money.
Ready to ride.
Ready to ride. More trail capable, we'll put it that way. And you have the reputation of them being a nicer machine, and the price is the same. I think they're going for the budget-friendly people. I mean, they're not going for the 1,000 turbo guys blasting the dunes with, carbon fiber wheels and everything else. They're just, that's not the market for that one. So I think it'll do well in the market. I still am going to lean towards, I don't think it will unseat the Polaris.
I don't know that it will either, and I'm just going to kind of wait and see. I like my machines to ride well, and so anytime they tell me, yeah, we improved it and it rides smoother, I'm already interested.
Yeah.
But I want to wait and see what the market does, how it reacts before I jump into anything like that. Like I don't really want a 50-inch wide machine necessarily either, at least not a two-seater. I mean, I've already expressed my love for the Wolverine, but the Wolverine's actually wider than that.
Yeah, it's mid-50s, like 56.
I think it's
55.
56 or something like that. So it's a little wider, and I do like that as a four-seater machine, but I really don't want anything that's 50-inch wide. It's not in my wheelhouse anyways. I just want to see how the aftermarket support kicks in, because let's face it, your UTV is perfect when you buy it for about a week. Yeah. And then, I need better, I need metal rock or metal skid plates instead of the plastic ones that came on it. And I need rock sliders, and I need a winch, and I need this and that. And I need a sound bar, and I need cup holders for my sweet TGM cups, and, that kind of stuff. Yeah. So it's a disease, and one that it can't be a disease because I never get sick, but yeah, I get that as well.
So yeah, I agree. We'll see what it does. It's a niche market that Can-Am had cornered fairly well, and I'm glad that there's another player in it, if nothing else.
Oh yeah, absolutely. So the other interesting one that's come on the market, well, it's coming on the market, or however you want to look at it, is the new Zero UTV. I believe that's pronounced Nicola.
Yes, Nicola, like Tesla. Yeah, but it's not the Tesla company. It is.
Yeah, they took his first name instead of his last.
Yeah.
So it is. I'm torn. I mean, I know I'm not torn in the sense of I'm going to go buy one because I think it's awesome. I'm just torn because I think they've done a really good job with it. I love the way it looks.
Do you?
I do. It looks like something from Tron, but that's kind of how it needed to look because it's an electric UTV. So if you're not familiar, they've developed, as I just spilled the beans, an electric UTV. It has a claimed range of at least 100, depending on terrain. You know how it is with UTVs. The terrain is everything. So realistically, I'm going to say it's somewhere between like 50 and 150, just depending on how.
Yeah, they say 100 to 200 miles. I would say that's optimistic.
The 200, I just don't see.
No.
But they've got this thing on a dyno. Okay, if you want to go on YouTube and look it up, just look up the Nicola Zero UTV and then dyno. And you can see this thing on the dyno putting down 400 horsepower and 4,900 pound-feet of torque. Now, that's after reduction, but really, really strong, impressive numbers.
I agree.
But when your UTV weighs
3,500 pounds,
you're going to need all that power.
3,500. That is a truck.
It is heavier than some of you guys' prom dates.
Gosh. I would hope so.
So 0 to 60 in 3.9 seconds, which is not normally a stat you hear in the UTV world because it's
a fictitious stat in the UTV world.
On pavement.
It's on pavement.
We're not on pavement.
Yeah. I've seen like the Can-Am race against a Polaris, raced against a Yamaha, and they'll race them all on pavement, and one will be faster than the other. And then they'll put them in the dirt, and they're dead even. So 400 and something horsepower And
Now they said that was governed. They're actually saying they're going to release another video that full bore ungoverned. It's 555 horsepower.
okay, but 555 horsepower in a 3,500 pound machine
It's still a lot, dude.
I'm not saying it's not, but this thing weighs so much. You take it in the first mud puddle over your ankle and you're stuck like Chuck and you're not getting out.
Yeah, you are not going to, I mean,
It's going to take
well, you are going to bury this thing in the mud. Like
Yeah.
literally, it's going to sink.
Yeah. And no amount of your friends hooking to it. I mean, it'd take a dozen UTVs hooked to it to get enough traction to haul that thing out of there.
I don't know if your F-150 would get it out.
I don't, well, it might, but, yeah, no, the thing I don't like, I'll say I enjoy the fact that they're trying something different. And I think eventually when battery technology gets a little bit more advanced, they'll lighten up the batteries and something like that will be a definite competitor in the market when they don't weigh 3,500 pounds.
Well, and you also mentioned maybe the idea of being a hybrid, and I mentioned the idea of buying a $300 Harbor Freight generator and throwing it in the bed.
Just strap it.
Bam!
Just strap it to the top of the roll cage. It's fine.
Hybrid, done.
But the other thing I don't like is they tried to make it so techy, and I'm a tech person. They tried to make it so futuristic, it's just ridiculous. It's got lighted headrests.
I don't see a problem here.
I don't need lights in my headrest. I have no eyes on the backside of my head to see the lights.
It's for everyone else to see the lights while you're in your Nicola Zero UTV.
Yeah. So I made the statement to Doug when we were talking about this a couple days ago. I think it's for the rich landowner who wants to chauffeur his friends around when they come over and drive on their manicured trails and everything else. It's not a real UTV in my mind.
I think it's a very necessary first step into that market, and that's why I'm excited about it. Somebody has to be willing to put the cash out there and develop something and get the ball rolling, because otherwise we can talk about it till the cows come home. We can say, no, they should have waited until battery tech comes out. I mean, you can make all those arguments. Somebody has to be gutsy enough just to get it done, and they did it, and I like that.
I agree, and that's what I was saying. I mean, I think it's good that someone else is trying something different.
Somebody besides you and me, right?
Somebody's trying something different, because I sure don't want my name on that thing. I really do think this thing is going to be a colossal flop.
It's got a 10-inch infotainment center.
Yeah. Well, Polaris has that. They have the ride command system.
Yeah, but it's tied in with their shocks and all that stuff.
Right, but they have Bluetooth audio that connects to it, and it's GPS and all that. I'm sure that the Nicola Zero is the exact same, or not the exact same, but it's in the same vein of things. So I can't fault them for that. I'm just telling, and the price is $35,000, is I believe what it is.
For less than that, you could be in the big 4-door Can-Am.
Yeah.
And have I mean, I'm just saying the 4-door because it's the most expensive unit they make. I mean, if you're just in an X3, it's considerably less than that and considerably more capable.
They're about 25, 26 for the normal X3.
Yeah. And so 10 grand less and considerably more capable.
Yeah. I would also hate to take that thing in the sand.
Oh, you couldn't.
You would bury it.
No. You got to float. That thing ain't going to float.
No.
I mean, the whole.
Well, once it hits bedrock, it'll stop sinking wherever bedrock is.
Every sand buggy you've ever seen, they've taken the doors off, they've taken the spare tire off, they've shed every.
And no carpet.
Yeah.
Now I'm ditching the lucky rabbit's foot on my keychain to save weight. I mean, it's all of it.
Yeah. I mean, that is a hefty beast. Now, that being said, if I had the wherewithal, we always come back to, had I been the little old lady out in the East Coast that won $750 million, I'd totally have one. Just because I think it's just neat enough that I wouldn't mind tooling around my manicured property on it. And somebody's got to buy them to push the market forward so that they can keep making stuff like this in the future. But it's kind of one of those things, I had nothing better to do with my money. Like, I had reached the pinnacle. I already had 3 yachts and 12 houses, and I just didn't know what else to do with my money then I'd probably be into something like that.
I would not. Still, I would not.
Just on principle.
No,
I'd
I
probably
have
buy
zero
one.
desire
That's
for
a
it.
little bit of exaggeration. I'd buy one before then, but I mean, it's a lot of money to lay down for what it is. And again, you bring an interesting point when we were talking about what if you're going on a trail ride? What if you're out in West Virginia, or you're Ride Royal Blue, or you're out in Moab and the batteries die?
Yeah.
It's even if you have a generator, it's a charge. I mean, it's going to take.
It's going to take a large generator to charge it, first of all, and it's going to take a long time for it to charge it.
I haven't looked at the specs, but I'm looking at the batteries here. You got 75, 100, or 125 kilowatt. Those are the same size batteries they're putting in the Tesla cars.
Yep.
So you're talking on 120 volt from dead empty, somewhere in the like 12 to 16 hours if the battery's low.
And they got the quick charge, stations, but those are all hardline things.
Yeah.
That are, those are still an hour and a half to like 80% or whatever they are.
It's like if your UTV ran out of gas and you had to fill it through one of those little coffee stirrer straws.
Yeah.
That's what it's like.
You have to sit there and you have to wait. Whereas with my UTV or anybody else's, if I run out of gas on the trail, either I have spare gas cans with me, someone else does, or worst case scenario, I just go get gas.
Yeah.
When it stops,
You're done.
there she sits.
I
And
still
now your
want one. I don't care.
$35,000, 3,500-pound lighted headrest machine is sitting there for some meth head to strip. And it happens, guys. For those of you that haven't been out there, the guys that live out there and ride out there will tell you, you leave it on the trail, it isn't going to be there in the morning.
And that includes like your wife and kids. If you leave them on the trail, they won't be there.
Honey, want to go on a vacation?
All that aside, I still like it. I'm excited about it. I want an electric car. So, this is, again, difference in philosophy between Chad and I. I'm an efficiency nut, and Chad's like, whatever, I'm going to drive what I want to drive. So we both have about equal drive.
I want a diesel truck just so that I can bellow black smoke at the hippies.
Yeah, and we have about the same drive to work, time-wise and distance-wise. I've got a Ford Focus that I drive like an absolute geezer so I can get 42, 43 miles to the gallon out of it.
Lifted F-150.
I like trucks. I own a big truck. I own a bigger truck than he does. I just refuse to drive it on a daily basis because my Ram 2500 gets, the EVIC says I get 14 to 14 and a half. It lies. I get 12.
Yeah. My F-150 does get better than that, but I want to drive something I enjoy driving. If I'm going to be in a vehicle that much, I want to enjoy being in it. And that's my philosophy on it. I'm only on this earth for a short go round, and I want to enjoy as much of it as I can.
Mine is I have too many other expensive hobbies. If I can cheap out on driving to work, I'm going to cheap out on driving to work. So
welcome to the two schools of thought on this, I guess.
So it looks interesting, and I'm just curious to see. I wish him well, and I hope it's not the colossal flop that Chad's predicting, but we'll see.
I think it will be. So, moving on.
I wanted to give a plug out, too. If you guys have not heard of the show, we talked about this podcast is in some ways an homage to the Kibbe and Finnegan show. And Finnegan is, of course, he's been around in the automotive world for quite a while, but really his popularity came from Roadkill.
Yeah.
And Roadkill started out and still is a YouTube show. Well, there's another YouTube show called Dirt Every Day.
Yep.
And Chad absolutely loves it. I'm a little more of a Roadkill fan. He's a little more of a Dirt Every Day fan, but we both really like each of them. And so if you haven't heard of the show, it's some of it is like kind of serious off-road reviews. Like he'll tell you what he thinks of different off-road products and stuff like that. And some of it's just outright butchery just for the fun of it. Like what was it? It was a Ford Ranger and a Land Rover or something that they welded together.
Yeah, they turned them backwards and welded the front ends of each.
So you had a two-way vehicle. It had a Land Rover on one side as a front end and like a Ford Ranger as the other side front end, and they just welded them together and took it out and just trashed it. I mean,
they tried to jump it and it just snapped.
It folded like a taco.
Oh yeah, it just folded. Not everything they make is junk. I mean, they make some really good stuff, but
they have a lot of fun. And, since we're kind of catered towards an off-road audience here, I'd highly recommend you go check them out. I like the shows enough. I've actually paid for Motor Trend on demand. I think it's, I don't know, it might be $9 or $10 a month, I think.
yeah.
It's pretty cheap, and it gets you instant access to Roadkill, Dirt Every Day, and some exclusive content you can't get on YouTube, like Roadkill Extras and some other stuff like that. And you also get everything 30 days earlier. So they release it on YouTube 30 days after they release it on Motor Trend On Demand. But there's a bunch of them out there now. I think there's 70 Roadkill episodes, and there's probably almost the same Dirt Every Day. There's quite a few.
You can waste at least a quarter, like 3 months or 4 months worth of your time at work on these.
Yeah. I mean, totally working hard. Something like that. If you have one of those jobs that doesn't require 110% focus and attention on what you're doing, and you have kind of those lulls in between, it's a good way. Or if, my wife and I have shows we like to watch together, but a lot of times she goes to bed at 9 o'clock and I am not tired. So I save shows like this that she could really care less about, and I can watch them when she goes to bed, and I'm not like jumping ahead on our show.
Yeah.
So I just wanted to plug it. If you haven't had the chance to see it, if you haven't heard of it, go on YouTube, check out Dirt Every Day. It is an outstanding show, and just a lot of fun, and it definitely caters to the kind of stuff that we're doing.
Yeah. It's a good show. I enjoy it. They're funny, and they build fun things, and they do some serious off-roading too. So all in all, good show. So I'm going to jump off of Doug's notes here because he's answering a text from his wife or sending a text to her. Whatever.
I have to go pick up my kid from marching band practice, and she worried I'm not going to make it in time. But I always get there, and I sit there for 15 or 20 minutes while he's cleaning up. So
welcome to being married. Your wife thinks you're still an idiot. So for those of you, while we're on the topic of shows that I've seen one of these. It's Mike Rowe, if you guys remember him from the Dirty Jobs series that was on the Discovery Channel for years and years. And I always liked that show. I always liked Mike Rowe, too, as a person. It seemed he was very down to earth and not afraid of hard work and everything else. But he's got a new show that is it coming on regular television?
No, it's actually a YouTube show.
Just a YouTube.
Like it's,
okay.
I'm sorry, it's not even YouTube. It's Facebook. Facebook has their own little TV.
Because that's where I saw it, and
Yeah.
I was curious. And the show is called Returning the Favor. And he finds these people that are doing good for the community or doing good for different groups. And they go in under the premise that they're going to do a bit on them to help bring awareness. In all reality, they're going in to fix up their shop or to help them pay for something. They're helping them so that these people can go help the community more. It really is a good show. You guys should check it out. The one I saw, it was actually a guy who has a motorcycle shop who is helping veterans kind of integrate back into society.
Yeah.
And did you see that was in Indiana?
I did.
Yeah.
Now I want to go visit.
It's all the way up northern. It's up by like Crown Point, Indiana. It's up way north of us. It's
Totally worth a visit.
Yeah. But this guy just has what looks like a little mechanic shop, and veterans that have been either physically traumatized or like mentally traumatized, whatever. He builds bikes with them, for them. They help, but it's kind of the therapeutic of them coming and helping build these things and integrating back into society while still being around people that understand their problems. And long and short of that story was they paid his rent in the building for like a year. They set him up with new welders, new tools, new bike lifts. I mean, all kinds of, good fabrication companies came in and they got behind it and they donated all kinds of parts and money and everything else. Because he's just doing all this out of pocket. This guy was, and I don't remember the gentleman's name who does this, but it's a good show, and I'm looking forward to seeing the next one. There may be another one out. I just haven't paid enough attention.
I've seen advertisements for up to like episode 4, but I don't know if they're just teasers or if they've released them yet. But
Yeah.
I love the premise of the show. Mike Rowe honestly seems like one of these guys that it just is he is what he appears to be. Like,
Yeah.
his celebrity comes from the fact that he's genuine and not from some sort of act. And so it's neat to see him giving back. And so again, Facebook show, Returning the Favor with Mike Rowe. And it looks like another good one to watch. Manly, but maybe you shed a tear now and again. But it's good to see somebody giving back. And there's so many unsung heroes out there that are doing things not because they're profitable or because they're easy, but just because they're the right thing to do. And
Right.
he's kind of celebrating that. And I love that about the show.
Yep, I agree. And did you know Mike Rowe was an opera singer?
Yes, he was.
That's that has absolutely zero to do with this show or his show or anything else, but I thought it was quite humorous to find out he was an opera singer.
That is your tidbit for the day. We always try and pass along some sort of knowledge that you don't really need, and that is yours for the day.
Yeah, welcome.
Well, we're getting to the 30-minute mark already. Man, these go quick.
They do.
Maybe they need to be an hour.
We could start working on that. We won't make this one an hour because you got to go pick up your son from band practice, and the wife is already texting you.
And we still don't know if anybody wants to hear us for an hour. we're just making rash assumptions at this point.
Yeah.
But it wouldn't be a show without Stupid Things with Chad.
Oh, okay.
So this is Chad's pick this time. I picked the last one. This is your pick.
Okay. Well, since we talked about my brother at the beginning, we'll end up with him too. This wasn't something I had done, but it was something I was witness to, and man, was I glad I was there to see it. So, we had cows, like the full-grown animals. There's four cows. A side story on my side story. My niece wanted to name them, and she's like, "Oh," I said, "Fine, you can name them, but I'm naming one of them." And there's 4. She named 3. She goes, "Well, this one's Princess, and this one's Buttercup, and this one's whatever the other girly name the other cow was." And I said, "This one's Chuck." And she goes, "Chuck?" She didn't get it. And I go, "Yep, that's what he's going to be when he grows up." She was not happy with me on that one. So, onward. Cows have been raised. Cows have grown. It is time for cows to go off to meet their maker, Mr. Butcher.
This little piggy went to market.
Yeah, and he's not piggies, these are cows, Doug. You missed the start of the story there, buddy. So the cows, it's time to go to the market. So we got a trailer there, and we have them fenced in it's a few acre lot there. And we're trying to figure out how to get the things close because there's no barn. There's no anything to pin them up to get them close. So my brother, the brilliant individual that he is and his great ideas, he decides he's going to herd these cows with his 4-wheeler. So, a little bit on the 4-wheeler. This thing is bad.
Okay, this is a full-on race quad that has been to Japan. It's been international.
Yes.
It only runs on alcohol. And as Chad described the motor, it was built with a lot of love and a lot of hate.
Yeah. The thing is just wickedly fast. It's like +6 A-arms and axles, Fox floats, Fox Evol floats. Just the suspension is awesome. The motor is awesome.
This is not just like your bone stock 400EX that you just can beat around in.
No, dual bead locks, so it's bead lock inner and outer rings. Just an amazing quad. And and it's like straight pipe too. The thing is louder than, Satan himself. It is just, anyway, awesome quad. So he thinks he's going to herd these cows. And, we had no luck with it. And whatever, I'll sit back and be entertained by this. So I open the gate. He rolls on out there. I could say nice and quietly. He's not, blaring out there as quiet as that quad will putter on out there. And he starts trying to cut these cows like a cutting horse does, where the horse will step back and forth. Well, quad doesn't do that. So to turn as fast as the cows can cut, he's basically revving it up to $5-6 grand and dumping the clutch on the thing. For all of you city people who don't know about cow lots and whatnot, they're not really grass anymore. It's a mixture of cow poo and pee that has saturated the ground. So in the process of him cutting, quote unquote, back and forth with his quad, it is raining cow crap like 30 feet in the air. He's flinging it up there, and it is coming down with the most awesome plop noises that you had ever heard. And I'm sitting there watching this and just rolling, laughing, because it's stinking to high heaven because he's stirring up cow crap, yet smelling amazing, because what smells better than burning alcohol fuel out of a race quad? And then he gets nowhere with these things. Like, he has 4 of them. They're penned in about half of the area.
And he's got to be covered at this point.
He's covered. So he finally gives up after the last one has run away from him and gotten away. And we call him over. And I'm not kidding you. It's dripping off of his hair, out all over. It's like dripping off of him. The rest of the ground wasn't wet. Just the cow lot with the cow excrement everywhere. And he did not get a single cow even close to getting in. Ended up, we just took a gate, a couple of us, and held onto a couple gates and walked them in and got them in the trailer.
Every time you tell me this story, well, you've told me once, but I've been around you when you've told it before. Every time I just remember the end, or not the end, but towards the beginning of Tommy Boy. When they're standing there at the gas station, he's like, I can't believe we got covered in all this mud.
That's not mud.
That's all I can think of.
And then I'm amazed.
He's dancing, getting sprayed with gasoline. Oh, shoot. Now I got to go watch that movie.
Yeah, that was a good movie. Oh, so that was my entertaining story for the show, I guess. Stuff like this happens around here all the time.
Well, like the last like the last episode, we're just trying to record, and there's dump trucks stuck in your yard.
Yeah.
Just because that's what happens.
How many
around
people
here.
have that happen? Seriously, like, this is a normal occurrence for me. I didn't even think twice. I'm like, I got to go pull the dump truck out of my yard, and this doesn't happen to other people, does it?
No, not on average, but
this is normal.
Thank goodness we're not average.
Yeah. So, well, we're going to wrap it up. I want to urge you guys. I know I don't think we said it during any of the podcasts. Man, leave comments.
Yeah,
on the
absolutely.
video,
Please do.
iTunes and Google Play and Stitcher. Leave comments, even on Facebook. Tell us what you guys want to hear about. If you'd like us to, try and get a guest on from a company that you know of that does off-road somethings or, outdoor products or whatever.
Something you want reviewed. I mean, obviously we haven't driven a lot of the stuff we're talking about. We're speculating, but if there's some product that, we might be able to get with some manufacturers and take a peek at some things for you. We've got some contacts, but definitely, like Chad said, give us some feedback about what you'd like to see and how you think the show is going. And
if you hate it, I'll take that as feedback. I mean,
yeah, we'll take negative feedback. It doesn't mean we'll listen, but we'll, we appreciate the feedback either way. Yep. But I also want to shout out once again to our sponsors, TGM Off-Road, Watch Communications, Colby Valve Stems, UTV-doors.com. If you need links to any of that, head on over to our website at eminentperformance.com. You can find us on Facebook /Eminent Racing and on Instagram at Eminent Racing. And we have a Twitter account now, but we haven't really used it yet. And I don't know if we will. It was more one of those, let's just register our name. Maybe we'll use it at some point type of things.
We're both pretty accessible. Facebook, we try and post something about every day. We try and get something out there for everybody.
We're getting close to 300 people. Like, I think we're at 289 as
300
of today.
people can tolerate us.
We should do some sort of drawing or something once we crest 300.
I have no problem with that.
Okay.
We can.
I think we got some. We can rummage around. We can send you a race bent tie rod.
Oh, I got plenty of those. I got broken axles. You want one of them?
Your own memento for our pathetic racing season so far.
Yeah. No, but yeah, we want to hear from you guys. We want to hear what you guys have to say. So drop us a line. Leave us some feedback and get in touch with us. So.
All right, folks, that's going to do it for this one. We'll catch you on the next one. And again, we've got some interesting stuff in the pipe, so just hang with us. And I think it's going to only get better from here. But until then, thanks for riding along with us.
Thanks, guys.